Corrie Boom. If you have not heard of her, I encourage you to go look her up to learn a little bit about her life. She went through much pain, much turmoil, and yet was so inspirational to so many. There is a book of her letters that I want to go through, but before diving into her letters, I want to go through the introduction. She gave some helpful background into life as it was before she was sent off to prison. I have done my best to figure out how to pronounce the different names and places she mentions, but I am an American. If I get these wrong, as I'm certain I will, please forgive me. During the last World War, as the German armies rolled over most of Europe, crushing countries in their paths, Adolf Hitler set into operation a plan to exterminate all Jews. Many of the people of Holland responded by doing their utmost to help Dutch Jews escape this peril. My own family and my friends and I did all that we could to save Jewish lives until we were betrayed and arrested. At that time, my father was 84 years of age, and friends had often warned him that if he persisted in hiding Jews in his home, under the very eye of the occupying armies, he could surely face imprisonment. I am too old for prison life, my father replied. But if that should happen, then it would be for me an honor to give my life for God's ancient people, the Jews. I recall with great clarity the day, February 28th, 1944, that we went down the winding staircase with our whole family and our friends. For some of them, it was the last time they would ever feel the worn staircase railing of the beloved Beje, named for our home, located in the Barteljorisstraat, in their hands. Father leaned heavily on my arm, and passing the large Frisian clock in the hall, he suggested that I pull up the weights to wind it. He could not realize that the next day when the clock unwound, there would be no one, only silence, in that so recently crowded, lively, and joyful house, and that never again as a family would we enter Father's beloved house with its many clocks. 35 of our family and friends were led through the Smedestraat toward the police station that day. We then entered a large gymnastics room and sat down together as a family on one of the gymnasium mats that were spread out on the floor. That night, God used Father to prepare each of us in a special way for the unknown times that lay ahead. Father asked my brother, Willem, to read Psalm 91, and then Father prayed. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Psalm 91, verses 1 through 4. That night in the police station was long and full of tension, but we were able to discuss the most important matters facing us. As we were loaded into the police van the next morning on our way to the Scheveningen prison, people of our town of Haarlem stood quietly in the street with tears in their eyes. It was the last time they would see Father, the grand old man of Haarlem. After an hour's ride, the van door opened and the gates of the prison closed behind us. We were ordered to stand with our faces pressed against the red brick wall. When our names were called, I passed by Father, who was sitting on a chair. He looked up and we heard him softly saying, "The Lord be with you, my daughters." From that moment forward, everything in our lives was changed. We did not know what was ahead of us, but I was certain of one thing, that Jesus would never leave us or forsake us, and that for a child of God, no pit could be so deep that Jesus was not deeper still. That's part of the introduction to this book of letters. We'll continue in part 2.